Hello everybody and welcome back to First Impressions. I am Amanda. I am joined once again by Mr. Dan, and we are on Twin Peaks Season 2, Episode 6, going into the home stretch of...
Are we?
Yeah.
Because it looks to me like there's a lot more episodes to go.
Well, there are, but we're kind of stopping when the murder's solved. Because
are we?
After that, I mean, you're welcome to go on, but after that, it does go off the rails quite a bit. In fact...
Twin Peaks goes off the rails? What?
I told Dan earlier, I don't think I've included in the vlog, but there was an episode that just lost me back when I first watched it, and I just went, I can't do it anymore. I can't do Twin Peaks anymore. So
kind of curious just to see that now.
Yeah.
I'll probably have a similar reaction, but...
And I can't remember if the murder coincided, or the solving of the murder coincided with this crazy thing that happened, but we'll see.
We'll see.
I think we'll find out, because I can't remember that well. Anyway.
Meantime.
So, Dan has been really vigilant, actually, in re-watching the series.
Yeah, I went back and I started from the very beginning, like last week or so, and I watched all the way up, and I just re-caught up to where we're at right now, like a couple of days ago. So, going into this episode, I know exactly where everybody is and what they're doing and all kinds of good stuff. So, that being said, though, a couple of characters that maybe didn't pop up in the last few episodes have re-popped up in this one. I'm just sort of like the one-armed man is specifically he comes back in. I'm kind of like, I got to remember what it was, his deal was, and everything. But we will get to him because he had the big part of the end.
Let's start with like the stuff that probably mattered least, which was one, Nadine, I guess. The stuff that mattered least, but was the most entertaining to watch because...
Oh my gosh, Nadine return is still on her I think I'm a high school cheerleader trip of some sort.
Yeah.
And so she's bouncing all over the place and everything, and she's under the impression that she and Ed are staying at her parents' place and her parents are just not there. So she thinks it's great. They're taking over their teenagers at home alone, so she gets to run the house. And poor Ed
his face
so
is just
completely... He's trying his absolute hardest to roll with the punches, but oh my gosh,
like, maybe we could pretend we're married now. He's like, we could pretend that.
Yeah.
Because, you know.
I think we could handle that, and that was just great, but the whole time she's bouncing all over, he's got this perpetual look on his face like he completely does not know how to deal with this situation, and he is he's waiting for something to go wrong.
Yeah.
Like, he's just bracing himself indefinitely for something to go completely wrong.
So where that's going, I completely forget. I don't know if it was going anywhere.
That doesn't seem like one of those plot threads in this show that has a logical, or predictable rather, resolution. Same with, oh dear. The Bobby and Leo and Shelley thing, which that was another that was
the next one, which was the next one was Bobby and Shelley and their insurance scam to get money from the vegetable Leo.
Yes. Leo comes home and the insurance guy sets them all up, and the insurance guy is like, you guys are such good people for looking after Leo, and of course the audience is just there knowing like, no they're not.
No they're not.
But they find out that their insurance scam thing is not going to turn out as well as they thought, because they're getting significantly less amount of money from the scam that
because they didn't seem to think ahead that medical stuff costs a lot of money.
Yeah. So now they're stuck not getting as much money as they thought, and they still also have the vegetable Leo to deal with, and that creates a scene later on.
Is he a vegetable?
It creates a scene later on that has a couple of left turns in it. Like, it starts out, the two of them are basically just throwing it in Leo's face that, they've been fooling around or whatever. But it opens on this scene where they're like having like a kid's birthday party, and they've got Leo decked out in like streamers and like a kazoo in his mouth.
They're
and party
celebrating,
hats.
right?
And there was a small itty bitty piece of me right at the beginning of that scene that almost felt sorry for Leo.
At the start, and then it's such a weird scene.
It's such a weird scene, but it took me a few minutes to remember. Like, they brought it up throughout the scene. Like, Bobby was throwing a lot of Leo's crap back in his face, being all like, you almost killed your wife, or you tried to kill your wife, and you abused your wife, and he's throwing all this stuff back. And that very first 2 seconds, I was just kind of like, they're doing all this to Leo, and it's bad. It's terrible. Like, this is way too much. I know he's a bad guy, but it's too much. But then they were like, but he's done all this other stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? He kind of deserves this. But could you do it in a little less bizarre way?
Yeah, as Bobby's like doing this laundry list of crazy stuff that Leo has done, and including tried to kill his own wife.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, and then I turned to Dan. I was like, I don't know who to like in this scene.
Yeah, like there was.
I think I just don't like anybody.
Yeah, it's just horrible people being horrible to each other in their own ways. That's the whole subplot. But the thing is, though, they're also stupid teenagers. So they're doing all this stuff like they're throwing the party stuff around. At one point, they bring a cake out and they try to light it, and Leo like is a vegetable, so he falls face first into it, and they just do not know what to do in that point except laugh. And they're laughing and up, and it fades down, and as the audience member, you're like,
oh yeah, and then there was the creepiest aspect of it. I'm sorry, but if I had to bring my abusive vegetable husband home and my lover was standing there with me, I would not want to have sex in front of the vegetable husband, even if he was a vegetable.
No, again, they're stupid teenagers.
They're stupid teenagers. So when he makes that little minuscule movement, and Kelly freaks out, I'm like, she's like, this is creepy, and Dan's like, yes!
We've also got Jodie back in the picture, and her plot line is starting to really pick up steam, because the other guy, the other Asian fellow...
Other Asian man.
Is basically pushing her towards, alright, get the money from whatever insurance scam you're locked in with, and let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And poor Josie, the queen of the back turn. Josie's back turn was the thing in every scene that it showed up in. Remember I was saying, this episode, I was noticing way less of what I call the things in scene to scene. There were a few scenes near the end where it spiked back up, but having gone back and recently just watched the first season, the thing that really drew me in was every episode or every scene had that thing, and it was the subtle sort of off-kilter stuff. They're ramping that down. The show's becoming a lot more of a formulaic, drama thriller sort of show with occasional freakouts here and there. And so whenever Jodie's back turn showed up, I was like, is that the thing, or Josie, sorry, is that the thing, or is that just this show turning into a soap opera? All of her
blocking, actually, all of her scenes had very theatrical blocking. I noticed it was always a very static shot, and it was always, like when I was watching it, I could almost see it as if I was watching a play, because that's often how we have to stand in theater shows, is like with our back to the main character and talking out towards the audience, right? And you don't see that in television shows a whole lot now. You see it sometimes.
Not anymore. Back in the days when it was, like single sets, like the old sitcoms, like Fresh Prince or even Archie Bunker back in the day. Yeah, everybody always had to face towards. But with multi-cameras TV shows, which is what most shows nowadays are, you don't see that too much.
Yeah, but yes, it was so funny because every time a character spoke to her, she would usually like do this dramatic turn and face away from them and then speak, very seriously out into the distance. and if she turned towards them, like someone would be like, Josie, as she's running out, and she turns towards them, and then she turns away again. It's almost like, oh, someone's calling me. I need to be able to turn away from them, but I'm already turned away from them. How do I solve this problem? I know, I'll turn towards them first for a moment, pose dramatically, and then turn away.
Also, we had a scene at the very beginning with the horns, because we got Audrey back from One Eye Jax.
So Audrey is back now. Hooray!
And she got rescued by Agent Cooper, and she's sort of coming. First of all, somebody who's been captured and being fed heroin for over a week. She looks great!
Fantastic!
She looks terrific, man!
The makeup is put on perfectly.
She doesn't even seem to have any druggy after effects. It's awesome. So yeah, she sort of comes out of it and recovers a little bit. And there's a couple of really good scenes with her dad, Ben Horne, that are really like... It's not Twin Peaks, it's just really good television, because it's very sort of tense conversations, because she knows all about One Eye Jax. She knows that her dad's involved with that.
Let's just say everybody in that room knows something about everybody else, so it's like...
Cooper's in there too, and he's just standing there like a statue.
Yeah.
And he's just surveying the situation. He's like, I'm fairly certain that, some stuff's gone down. I know that this guy is sleazy and somehow involved. She's probably got some ideas and everything, so he knows. Ben Horne, of course, knows, but he's got that bullshit businessman smile on the whole time. There's another scene later. There's another scene later on where it's just him and Cooper, and the two of them are going back and forth about it. And you can tell they both have each other completely figured out, but the dialogue is just tense, and they're just sort of trading like bullshit smiles back. Well, not Cooper so much, but
Cooper's just sort of like got this expression and tone to him that's
Cooper's being very
like,
no nonsense about it, but he's not going to go directly after him because you know he's got to go through the process.
He's smart about it.
Yeah,
it's like I can't just say like
no! The music also, the cues were also part of it too. Like the scene Audrey and her dad are trading that sort of back and forth. There's this thunderous low LFE tone going on. Like,
and it's so funny because it's like, it's him comforting his daughter. Like, I'm so glad you're back. And it's just...
right? That's what it sort of feels like. Yeah. And the whole time I said to Amanda, it's just like, I think Cooper could actually hear that music because he's got this... He's not buying any of this lovey-dovey reunion stuff.
The world would be a better place if you know... bad music, or not bad music, but like evil music the evil people, right? Someone walks into a room, it's like, boo. Guys, we shouldn't do a deal with it. Last little thing that I will visit is because Dan noted that, you know, the other Asian businessman comes up. Dan, it's not a very subtle disguise.
I don't know why I didn't notice it earlier, but I finally clued in. I was like, okay, that looks like somebody in disguise. Do not spoil who it is for me, those of you out there who know who it is, because we don't know when these videos go up or whatever.
Yeah.
I have some theories in my head. I don't want to say them out loud, but it's probably something. The voice doesn't help either. It's just super red. It sounds like a woman trying to do an Asian man's voice.
Now, to be fair to Dan, the first time I watched this series, I had the same progression, sort of. Like the first episode that this person shows up, I was like,
you don't hear them speak so much, and you kind of just think, okay, it's just some Twin Peaks weirdness, whatever.
Yeah,
and now the character
in the distance and in the shadows a lot. When they're in full light and sitting there and having more than one or two words that they say, it's like, okay.
Yeah. Two more scenes we're going to land on before we wrap up here quickly. Yeah. First of all, going back to the soap opera thing, James and Maddie have a scene that takes place during the day
in the sunlight.
In sunlight, it's super like lovey-dovey soap opera nonsense, whatever. But the thing from that scene was definitely the music, because it was the main Twin Peaks theme, but it was turned all the way up to 11. Gosh. Like you could, I half expected them like as soon as the scene fades up, it goes boom, boom, boom. And I was like, is the organ guy just off camera wailing away on here? And then of course the two of them are having their back and forth. It's like, I have to leave and everything. I'm gonna miss you, blah 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 blah. But the music is still crashing over top of them, and it's that Twin Peaks music, so you never know if it fits the scene or not. And finally, by the end of it, I'm just kind of like, I wanted to see them like pan over to the organist and just be like, dude, turn it down a little bit. And the last scene, of course, was the last scene. The scene with our one-armed man and his big revelation.
Yeah, so, so for the main plot, Donna, you find out that, like, you know, Orchid Dude's not too happy, obviously, that he's been lied to this entire time. So she's trying to tell the sheriff about the secret diary. Sheriff's kind of skeptical because these kids have been playing, like, you know, Hardy Boys or Scooby-Doo this whole time.
The sheriff is very quickly starting to get to the point where his easygoing attitude that he's had through up until this point is starting to chip away at him, because the whole thing with his girlfriend and now the kids are coming at him with all this other stuff. I can see that he's getting close to his patience break. I'm waiting for the sheriff to just blow up at some point. That would be the best thing ever, because he's been so calm. But anyway, back to...
So the final scene is that the one-armed man comes back, and you find out who Bob is. In fact, Bob is not exactly a person.
No.
It's a spirit.
Well, that's what the guy says.
Dude's saying.
They dropped that hint early in the scene that Cooper asks him if he's a schizophrenic. So he never answers one way or another. So that's one of those brilliant sort of things where it could really be something supernatural or paranormal or whatever, or it could just be that this guy is a really convincing psychopath.
Yeah. So Bob, the shoe salesman is, you know, he changes characters, and suddenly he thinks he's a spirit who's inhabiting the body of this one-armed man.
Yeah.
And who he used to be partners with Bob and stuff. And
Yeah.
so
he starts feeding Cooper a lot of detail, like vague sort of riddle details. And Cooper's on board with it because he's convinced that he's heard some of this stuff before, and he starts to fill in some of the blanks. Like the note that was left at the murder scene of Laura Palmer starts to make sense. He gets the whole spiel about that. So that's where we're at, and we also get another lead that whoever it is that has the killer's evil spirit, Mike, I think, no, Bob.
Bob's evil spirit.
Yeah, Mike is the guy that's. Yeah. So we find out that Bob is lurking in someone at the Great Northern.
At the Great Northern.
So that is where we're going next. But of course, the episode ends right when we get that information.
So yes, that was episode 6. I think it's time to move on.
You're so eager to get to the next episode.
I am.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks guys. We will catch you later. And yeah, there's a lot to cover in these episodes now.
Yeah, we apologize that we keep going on and on, but there's so much to cover.
Yeah.
Plus, also thanks to everybody who's still sticking with us.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting there. All right. Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.